everybody. This is Effie Brody. I want to do a video about starting clubs in Second Life. I've been in Second Life since 2004, way before clubs even existed, because we didn't have streaming music for quite some time in the beginning. In 2010, I started DJing, or somewhere around in there. I've been all over the place working in different clubs, but I got with my partner here, Gene Tiger Paw, who used to own this club here. It's called the Ace Cafe. It's based on the one in London in real life. And after his passing, I took it over. But Gene always used to say that owning a club in Second Life was a labor of love, because I guess I'm assuming that most people in Second Life think that there's a lot of money in it. There's never been a lot of money in owning a club. I mean, you're basically just dealing with what people want to donate, like to your, like your club thermometer. I haven't renewed this thermometer in a long time, and this is over months. I should fix it, but people rarely donate to that. They're too busy tipping the DJ or tipping the host in clubs. We don't have hosts here, so that's one thing out of the way. We never did that. Gene and I didn't believe in it. But after he passed, I ran this place 24/7 with DJs in it, and before he died, I was in charge of actually trying to hire new ones, and it's very difficult to find reliable, trustworthy DJs that are going to stick to your genre or whatever. This is rockabilly in here, or oldies, and I've had a lot of them, veer off of the path, and many arguments, and anyhow, that's all besides the point. Let me stay on track here. But there's no money in it, really. It's a labor of love, as Gene used to say. And so you really gotta, you gotta have a strong sense of community going with your regular customers, and every once in a while you get a new person come in, and either they stick around and become part of the woodwork, or they move on. Sometimes you never see somebody again. Sometimes they stay for years, and whole new crew of people coming in to see you. And different DJs have different fan bases and what have you. I'm the only DJ here at the Ace now. I got tired of running it, but it's basically still here as a memorial to Gene, and we gather here every Friday night to, hang out. There's only like maybe 10 of us tops, unless I'm having a big event, like maybe New Year's or something. That's fine with me. I've worked in other clubs, such as Totally 80s, as my alt Murmur Bear. I worked at Wet Willie's. Those are the two biggies. And Delphina. I have worked at quite a few. And then I've worked at a lot of them that were people that were just starting out opening a club and didn't know what they were doing, and it flopped within a month or two. And that's what I'm here to talk about today, is people that seem for some reason to think that there's a lot of money in it, and it goes belly up when they realize that it's a money pit and they can't afford to keep it going, or they don't have the drive, or there's just too much going on. A lot of drama can happen between the DJs and hosts and owners and managers and all of that. If you're going for a big scale type of club, this is just basically always been privately owned, and you know, we'd have our DJs. We didn't have hostesses. We didn't have, well, one time there was a hostess, and that didn't work out very well. I wish Jean was still alive to tell you about it. Maybe I can get into that another time. But it cost a lot of money to start out. You need like a dance system, and I want to get into this topic while I'm still standing here, down here in the A's, because when Gene passed away, I inherited his couple's dance ball, and it was the old system where it was basically transfer. The dance system was such that you could transfer it to another person. The dances inside it, if they weren't copyable, I mean, if they weren't transferable, then I had to give up a bunch of dances when Gene passed and rebuy them and populate my dance ball again. So basically, this heart-shaped dealie up here, this is not the original. A friend of mine gave me this one to replace that so I can have several clubs. This is one of the old Intan dance balls, and if you click it, it brings out 2 dance balls, male and female, and then you jump on the 2 balls, you sit on them, and then it gives you a menu what dances you want to pick out. It has these little, what do you call these things? Little kiosk things that you can set out any place in the land. So I can put this way up in the air, and it still is feeding off of this here. As long as it's in the same sim, it pretty much works. I haven't encountered a situation in which it did not work like across the same parcel anyway. But now Intan has changed their format. I believe it's a subscription type of model now, where you can't just own it outright. You have to, I can't even remember how it works now, but I wasn't going to go for the new system. In fact, I'm kind of like, I was trying to deal with used ones, because I can get a used one even if it's empty and populate it with dances, and possibly even, you know, resell them myself. But I made this sign because I was attempting to to buy used Intans. So if you had a failed club in Second Life, I was looking to buy your gently used Intan couples dance balls. I left that like laying on the ground at my shop for quite a while. I know, like I said, this heart-shaped one came from a friend of mine who wasn't using hers anymore. And then there was another one, and another friend of mine has one but won't bust off with it. And even though I don't think she's ever going to do anything with it. But that's her prerogative. Anyway, I just thought it would be fun to try and deal in them as if they were used cars. I don't know. If you have a used Intan that well, if you ever had a club that failed back in the day, and you have one of these transferable older versions of the dance ball, I'm willing to talk with you about buying yours. Like I said, anyway, you have to, the expense of owning a club. You've got to deal with the land tier. I'm on mainland here, and I've used a lot of my premium alts to pay for my land. I did a video one time explaining how I had done that with my alts. I upgraded many alts to premium, and then they got the free land that comes with being premium, and then I gave it all to a group which owns the land. And I have like 4 4 accounts from a friend of mine that donated all his land to the adventure here. So altogether, it's a lot of land that I would have had to pay a lot more for. But I'm on mainland. You could rent a spot, but you're going to be paying a lot to, like, where, if you're renting like a quarter sim or something that allows businesses, that gets pricey. I can't even remember what that costs anymore, like probably $4K. I mean, if it's on a full, so you get all the prims. If it's a homestead, I did have a homestead for like a year, and I never recovered financially from wasting all that money. I don't recommend it, but it was fun for a while. Every day that I didn't log in, I felt like I was just throwing money in the toilet. So let's put it that way. Anyway, I explained the dance balls and the tier. Whatever building you're going to use, you're going to have to buy that, and decorations and tip jars and tip jar system, jukebox, or what do you call those soundboards, where you got to log into the soundboard. All of that. I don't own one. Never did, but that stuff is extremely expensive. All that setup. So you buy all that setup, and you're thinking you're going to make a bunch of money running a club, but it doesn't do that. It's not, it just, I mean, some of them, there are people that have really got their stuff together and make a go of it. The professional ones, the big ones, they manage it. But you're not really making a profit on it. I mean, there's a lot of clubs that rent out shop spaces all around it, and I have noticed nobody ever really goes shopping in those little shopping mall things next to a club. Gene had this entire sim full of things to do here. Zombie hunting, shooting ranges, all kinds of things for people to do. And nobody would notice. They would come to dance and they wouldn't look outside the door. They didn't even notice anything was out there. I think it was sort of the same way with Wet Willie's. I don't know. I mean, every once in a while I would see people shopping out there, but I felt bad because I just, I mean, if you work there, you can get a discount on having a shop there. I mean, they make some cool exceptions. What else can I say? I don't want to drop a whole bunch of names. But I went to, my daughter and I both worked at one not too long ago that was immediately, we could tell that it wasn't gonna probably make it because it was really 2004 type of building. I mean, granted, the Ace Cafe here is really 2004 type of thing because this building was made back then. I kept it around for nostalgic value and the fact that everybody, this is a landmark in SL that has been around for a long time, and people are very happy that it's still here when they come to visit. I have many different venues and on different lands that are mine. I don't usually throw gigs in them. I might do a special thing there. But above this is my new club called the Rat's Arse Pub. I will go up there. And I've shown it on my shopping video with Beebs not too long ago. I'll kind of like pan around. This is just an extra place to hang out, and I adore it a lot. I'm thrilled. In fact, ever since I put this build up here, I've been doing all of my DJ sets up here. I'm not looking to get rich. Everything is kind of, you know, I'm used to paying the tier that I pay. I don't have an extraordinary amount of land or anything like that. I don't pay rent. You know, my shop pays for everything, and my DJ tips make up for what my shop doesn't do. What else can I say? But you know, I'm unique in that situation. A lot of people that just want to start a club because they have a lot of friends that like to dance and get together, and that's fine too. But I don't want people to you know, come at it thinking that it's profitable, because it's not. I don't know why that illusion seems to exist. Where they think that it's a money-making adventure, because no, no. You just, you know, you're paying too much out of, you know, to try and keep it going, and then you're to advertise, you're talking 30 linens a week at least to be in the, if you're not premium, it's even more than that, I think, to have a listing in search. That's another thing. What other things can I talk about in this venue? Right. Like trying to find DJs that will stick to your genre of music, that are willing to show up regularly and early and know how to log in and out on their own without holding their hands. I couldn't do that like all the time. Or I mean, Gene used to be in here every single night. He never, unless, you know, real life took him away, he was always online when whoever was DJing, and that would be for me to be in here every night, and I couldn't really pull that off anymore. Back then I did, now I just cannot. I only would trust like maybe one or two DJs that I know that from way back that are responsible enough to, you know, log in and out on their own and know what's what. To be honest, then everybody gets burnt out. You know, I don't know. I think it's because they don't realize that they're not going to make a bunch of money. So I have to tell this story without really getting into naming names. There was this really cool goth club that came about, and it had such great potential and a really neat name. And she promised everybody like 500 linen a set out of her own pocket, plus like she was gonna divvy up the donations jar every week to us, and I mean loads of perks and things that she was offering us. I figured, I felt immediately she was getting in over her head, and I did warn her that well, you're not gonna make that much. And it flopped. She just disappeared. I mean, she absolutely just did a runner on us. And I know she still exists because she keeps, you know, I see her log in every now and then. But I really, you know, half of me wanted to say, hey, you know, what a neat idea that you did have. You know, maybe I could, you know, make a run of it. She could be a co-owner or something. But then I give up now. I really like the Rat's Arse, and I'm happy with my secondary idea. I don't have that much goth music except for a band I used to be in. So that's one thing. Oh yeah, I also DJ at a punk club called Pickle Punks on Friday right after my set here. So I'm not invested in going from club to club to club anymore. I used to do Delfina on Monday, Totally 80s on Wednesday. I think that somewhere in there we did that one club that failed. I did this River Rock thing. Oh God, that was a nightmare. It was also another failed adventure. I see them, you know, pop up, exist. I get excited about it, thinking, you know, maybe there's some potential there, there's money there, there's somebody that knows what they're doing, and then within like 2 months, the whole thing goes belly up. So after you know what to expect as expenses go, and you know that you're not going to make a poop ton of donations, nobody ever does, then you have why people still do it. Why do people still do it? Well, I mean, anybody who made it to this point, you know, then you're doing it for the right reasons. But people do it for community because they want, you know, everybody's going to gather there anyway and have a party, so you might as well invite new people. That's kind of cool. You're passionate about the music and you want to introduce people to new music or your style of music, your genre, a vibe that you're going for. You have creative control and you're the boss. I mean, a lot of people go on a power trip, and this is why whenever there's like a manager, there's always somebody on a power trip. And, well, gotta watch out for that, because that's going to be your drama. There's always drama. Drama llama. Drama llama ding dang. And I can't even begin to tell you the kind of drama that I experienced when I started working for Gene. And when Gene and I started to get involved with each other, there was so much relationship drama that it was unbelievable. And eventually, I've seen clubs where eventually every single person in the place has been in a relationship with every single other person in the place. And that causes a ton of drama, as you can imagine. So, what else can I say about it? I mean, if you have a really good idea, I mean, you can try it. But, I mean, if you got to watch your overhead, I mean, all the stuff that you're going to have, the systems, you know, the scripted system, you know, your tip jars and your, I don't know, let's look up some, you know, how much that stuff is. Well, we're looking at the high end of schedule boards right here. If you're going to do that, this Shoutcast board, copy only one is 900 linens. I mean, it adds up if you're going to do all of the bells and whistles. You can also go with, you know, really cheap stuff and have other people, you know, have your DJs res their own tip jar. There's tip jar systems. And one of the most used popular ones is where, you know, you have the tip jar where you just click and log in. It's group access, showing, you know, your DJ and your host on either side of the stage and how much money they get. You can take a percentage of your employees' tips, which is kind of an asinine thing to do. But it's still done. A lot of clubs take like 10% or something of your tips. Then it gets really hard to tell how many tips you actually made at the end because of the weird denomination you end up with at the end of the night. I write everything down. I write my profits for the day in all areas of Second Life, whether it's my shop or my DJ tips. I write it all down, and then I have a spreadsheet for the entire year that I use in Excel and look at what's going on financially in this game. But I've been here since 2004. What I wanted to talk about also in another video, I want to start a series where I'm talking about the changes in Second Life since 2004. I really want to talk to people that have been in the game as long as me or around like 2004, 2006, maybe 2008. That's where most of my friends came from. where they've seen the changes that I have, because when I came here, there was no streaming music, there was no animations, there was no, I can't even begin to explain the changes that have happened in the early days. And I want to get into a series about the history that I've experienced, and I want to share that with other people, or have people send me a note card of any kind of stories that they have regarding early days of Second Life, and I can read it out loud on here. If you don't want to use voice and come on and be on an interview with me, that's okay. Just a second thought. Yeah, before I conclude, I wanted to show there's Maddie Effingham talking to me now. How much an N10 couples ball costs. You pay $18.50 for this system. I don't know what that includes. It doesn't include the dances. You got it. I can't remember how this works now. Is it like a... Okay. Hang on. I'll talk to her for a minute. Okay, I spoke with Maddie Effingham, who owns the N10 dance system. And we talked for hours. I don't want to like betray any trust or anything, but when we started to talk, she said a system with 24 dances is about $11K. And then I said, well, that's why I balked at buying the new system. She said I can like trade in a V2, version 2 or something. I mean, she'd update it for me. But I think mine are too old for that. And then she was talking about having to close her or close her shop or slow down or make it smaller. Where am I looking at? World economy has slowed people down. She was not sure how long she was going to be able to keep the shop open. I said, oh no. And she said, I'm probably going to start downsizing. I said, what do you mean? She was not going to give personal customized service anymore. I said, that's taken up most of her time. She said 18 years. People don't appreciate it anymore. They want fast, low cost, and then complain after getting crap. Then we started talking about our real lives and the economy and politics. And yeah, we went way off track there. So yes, about $11K for 24 dances in an N10 system. That's a lot. But you're going to need couples dances. I don't know if you can do it for cheaper than that. I tried, but they're kind of lame. They're not the same. The whole system works differently. Anyway, that was an eye-opener. I have possibly my first person that wants to talk to me about old times in Second Life. They're from 2008, which is a year most of my friends started. If you have any sorts of stories that you want me to share with a note card, via note card, or anything of early memories of Second Life, but you don't want to go on and do an interview, drop me a note card at Zeffie Brody in SL, and that's with an IE. The other one's my alt. I guess I'll get it either way, but I don't log into that one very often anymore. The Y, the Brody with a Y. What else did I need to say? I think that about wraps it up. If you still feel like you want to start a club in SL, It's costly, and you're not going to be raking in the profits. If you got some sort of a big conglomerate that can make it work, then by all means go for it. But if you're a little individual person, you might want to think twice about it. I mean, just have people over, have people over your place. I don't know. Call it a club, but don't go all out. It's an option. I don't know what to say about it. There's a lot of overhead, and it is not profitable. That's what I got to say about it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Like and subscribe. Bye.